Uganda boasts of its democracy, and in democracies, voters get to give verdicts and thoughts to their political leaders, be those in power or the opposition. Lately, it's taking a toll on Uganda's antagonism party, the Forum for Democratic Change. They've been Uganda's leading opposition party since their existence on the 16th of December 2004, up to until recently, with the birth of the National Unity Platform that assumed the position with the highest number of opposition members of parliament and the leader of opposition in the same parliament. As of now, the party is in a big mess, a cocktail of allegations, power struggles, and fights from within. Welcome to the Hard Questions Show. I am Rahim Nwali, sitting in for Solomon Serwanja. Today on the show, we host one of the most respected politicians of our time, the former Member of Parliament for Bugabula South constituency in the 7th Parliament, former LC5 Chairperson for Kamuli District, and the Vice FDC Chairperson for Eastern Uganda, the Honorable Salaam Musumba. Thank you for joining us on the show.
Thank you very much.
How disappointed are you in the Forum for Democratic Change?
I'm actually heartbroken. And I'm gathering myself to sow their own and meet the mandate for which the public entrusted me in the leadership of the Forum for Democratic Change, which of course I was part of the foundation. And so I am available for duty and I'm on work. So I've picked myself up and I can tell you I'm happy for the next phase of recovery. And I want also to apologize to the country, to all Democrats, to the Ugandans, to our supporters, to our members, that what you saw in the media is what we are working to get out of. It's a tight situation we're in, but we have the resolve, we have the energy. We could have stopped it earlier, but we didn't. What has happened has happened. We're going to pick up from there. We do owe you an apology, and please accept my apology as a person, but also on behalf of the team, Forum for Democratic Change.
Honorable, picking up on what you said, you could have stopped it,
yes,
but you didn't.
We failed to.
Why?
Why? There's something about the leadership and the character of us leaders that leads organizations into this. And this has bedeviled the whole of Africa, and it's a political class. And it also continues to bedevil us leaders, that we fear and fail to deal with matters on time and in time. And so you get into building tensions, you go into building, into snapping, and especially when you don't have enough institutional mechanisms to rein in. I have learned a lot from this, and this is what I would want to share. I think when we make constitutions, we should make constitutions to avert this kind of situation, not to imagine that people are good-willed and good-intentioned. We should work towards ensuring that bad intentions, bad will, ill will does not overrun goodwill. And so whenever you're setting up an organization, you should provide for any possible likely event. Because I had never seen a party, maybe I should have learned from DP, but I thought something was wrong with DP. I should have learned from UPC. I thought something was wrong with UPC. But it came to me, it came to my doorstep that access to the party headquarters became a negotiable matter. I don't think it should ever be. And we should exercise our brains, our minds, our hindsight, our foresight to making sure that organizations, party, political, or even business guard against such events.
Honorable, allow me to take you to events that happened on July 18th when the Honorable Semujunganda was speaking to journalists at Nsambia and accused the current president and general secretary of trying to sell the party to the National Resistance Movement. And in their defense, they came out to say that they were trying to merge the party to NUP. And we are privileged to be speaking to the vice president in charge of the Eastern region. Who is selling the party to whom?
You see, in the heat of anger, many things can be said. I do believe that the Honorable Nganda was expressing his fear. I also believe that the other party was also selling their fear. And so what needed to be done was to come in the middle and ask, what are you doing? And the space and latitude for that exists. So both parties were expressing their fear.
And what was being done by the leaders of the party? Mm-hmm. And part of those leaders you are.
Yes.
So whilst the party was tearing up and being battered and broken and shaming themselves in front of the whole country and world, what was being done by the leaders?
The leaders at the level of the executive were engulfed in the milieu of events. The party constitution has set up organs to run the party. And these start from the National Delegates Conference to the National Council, to the National Executive Committee, to the Working Committee, and to the offices, the presidency and the chair. And in setting up that constitution, the purpose was we were actually putting all the power into one office. And so we created the office of the chair to take care of the health of the party. The presidency to run the party on a day-to-day basis. And that office to run it together with a secretariat headed by the Secretary General. And so in all this, it is the presidency to offer guidance in the day-to-day running of the party. And he is surrounded by a working committee which should take collective decisions as a cabinet. And then there's the National Executive Committee, which too, the party president is the head. Those two organs were meant to buttress the office of the president to function. The National Council and the National Delegates Conference are under the chair, so that then the executive can give reports to the chair. And that's what obtains even today. So where was the failure? The failure was at the National Executive Committee level. Because at the meeting that I attended, the last National Executive Committee, it was agreed that the way tensions were building up in the party, we should call the National Council so that the National Council can extend the life of the leadership in the best interest of the party, so that it allows it to deal with the teething issues that were within the party, which the party is aware of, part of which was the Elders Committee report and the Elders Committee work. And so the following were decided. One, that we stay the elections, the structures of the party elections, until the party has had a discussion with itself. The first one was that the president and the working committee should meet the members of parliament. Then we should have a retreat as NEC. And then we should have a series of meetings to work out harmonizing the party divergent views. And then we should have a national council to receive the report, but also to allow the party to extend the life of the present leadership so that we can have elections in a harmonious manner. Now, we gave ourselves 4 weeks from the 16th, I think, of June. We gave ourselves 4 weeks within which to have all those things happening. And so who should have activated those? It is the party president. The meeting with members of parliament happened. We haven't received a report what became of it. The retreat was not called, and the retreat was not conducted. When the 4th week came, they triggered elections in total disregard of what NEC had resolved. Now, a party that does not respect its own resolutions is on a path, a very dangerous path to self-destruction.
Just so we are clear,
yes.
Did the party president, the current party president, fail the party?
In that respect, yes.
Okay. I'll take you to the events that happened on 12th, which was the 15th National Council Committee that prior had sat on the 24th and 25th of November, which of course came up to with the resolutions you're talking about. And part of the resolutions was a committee, to assemble a committee of 7 elders.
Of elders?
Yes.
They didn't give a number. They gave a blanket.
Actually, the report says 7. And
no, what the 15th National Council resolved to set up an elders committee, a committee of elders.
So who came up with the 7 people?
The party president proposed to NEC.
So he appointed people to look into allegations that were against him. And he came up with a number of 7.
Yes.
And the number of 7 were chaired by Dr. Frank Nawiso to come up with the elders committee that we have today.
Yes.
And part of that, and part of the findings of the committee were about the allegations of money, the dirty money that was being spoken about between the team at Katonga and Najana Nkumbi, as we will later speak about. But the findings are quite contrary to what was being said by the former president, Dr. Kizza Besigye, and the party spokesperson. They say that they found out that money was legit. And yet this money, according to Dr. Kizza Besigye, a source from State House had told him that the money was given to a member, and in this case, the General Secretary. So who is lying to whom?
That was part of why the Elders Committee was set up. It is the Elders Committee that should give you that answer, not me.
It came up with that report.
Yes.
Does that report speak for you? Because it exonerates the issue of money.
This report should be able to tell you what they found.
And what they did find out was that this money was withdrawn from the Honorable Nandala Mafabi's bank account, Stanbic Bank, and to be specific, in Chambogo. Yes. The 500 million, and 300 million of this was given to Dr. Kizza Besigye, which acknowledged. But on receiving the money, he said a source from State House had told him that some money, the lump sum, was being given to a member of the FDC.
You see, that's where the committee should have stopped and investigated the sequence of events. Mm. The timing of events is what the committee should have done. The biggest trouble we are in is that the report was presented on the day that the committee sat. There was never a backstage discussion, and not surely backstage as it should be. But we believed that this report should have been, or the committee should have made a report to the National Executive Committee. So that what you're asking me, I should have been able also to ask. I didn't get the opportunity to ask. So I'm like you, I'm like the rest of Uganda, reading this and making sense of it. And this was the same thing that happened to National Council. National Council received this on the day of presentation.
So there was no time.
There was no time to digest. There was no time to digest the contents and what was being said. So we will have to work backwards to interrogate this report too in the National Executive Committee. The report is not going away yet, because by the time we chose to make it public, it means that it will be a reference point that people will go back and forth.
Okay. I'll just give you a short quote from Dr. Kizza Besigye, according to the report when he was meeting the committee. He said that he concluded his submission by asserting that the FDC, which is supposed to be the vanguard of challenging the NRM dictatorship, has remained inactive in the last 2.25 years. That is from March 2021 to June 2023. And so would I be wrong, Honorable, if I say that Doctor and you senior members of the party have been looking on as the party is being dragged to a bottomless pit, and now here we are?
I think the organs of the party have done whatever needs to be done to ensure that the party meets its mandate. I do sit on the National Executive Committee, and I'll tell you that members make contributions in the meetings of how we should move on, how we should hold the party, and how we should do business of the party. All this is done. Now, the biggest point we have, and where we are going to get the next problem, is that the National Executive Committee is getting disabled. It is being disabled, systematically disabled, gleefully disabled by the party president.
Say that again.
The National Executive Committee of the Forum for Democratic Change is getting disabled, systematically disabled by the party president.
So this is an indication of a failed system and strategy?
No. It is a failed leadership, a failing leadership. I'll tell you, I have served all the presidents. And I should also tell you that I was the first acting chair that led Forum for Democratic Change to the first delegates conference in Nambole. I wasn't elected. I was delegated by the 3 entities that formed Forum for Democratic Change: Reform Agenda, Parliamentary Advocacy Forum, and the National Development, NDC, that Chapa Karuhanga brought into the leadership and the formation of Forum for Democratic Change. At that time, it was called a troika. The Honorable Sam Juba, bless his soul, led the Reform Agenda team, the Reform Agenda group. At that time, Dr. Besigye was in exile. He had just contested in the 2001 presidential elections. Honorable Augustine Ruzindana led us from Parliament under the Parliamentary Advocacy Forum. And the Honorable Chapa Karuhanga, chairman as we called him, was the leader of the NDC. And so that troika zeroed on me, Proscovia Salaam Musumba, then Member of Parliament for Bugabula County South, to be the interim head of that organ as we went into the first delegates conference. And so I've served under all those leaders. Under retired Colonel Dr. Kizza Besigye, NEC met every week on Wednesday. The argument was, you must spend time talking so that you avoid fighting.
But there has been a huge gap, and between the members at Najja Nkumbi and Katonga.
Under the Honorable retired General Muntu, we continued that tradition of meeting every week, scheduled. And when we thought we could relax the basic understanding of how the party is run, we chose to meet every fortnight, scheduled. Today, we continue on unscheduled fortnight meetings. And so every 2 weeks you expect to have a meeting. But these now are not scheduled. They are called on notice. We have not met for the last 6 weeks. So in between there have not been NEC meetings. As of this morning, when I asked, there's no clue as to when our next meeting will happen. NEC is called by the president.
So he has not called any?
He hasn't called yet. That's why, in my understanding, NEC is being disabled.
Isn't he fighting back?
Fighting who?
Because he says, during elections, the 2021 elections, he came to Dr. Kizza Besigye for support. He came to him to help him come up to the budget that would support the FDC in elections.
With or without money, we are duty-bound to run a party.
Maybe he's fighting back.
Who? Fighting who?
Clearly, when someone shows you they're not interested in you, you don't.
There's a party that is functioning, a party that is receiving resources from the state in accordance with the law. We receive money legitimately from the Political Parties and Organizations Act. And so we have resources in the party, financial resources. We have human resources. So fighting who?
And that brings me to the Katonga Najja Nkumbi issue.
Yes.
There has been a division within the party.
No. That's what you are meant to believe. The narrative is absolutely wrong.
What is happening?
This is what happened. Under the Honorable Muntu, the elections, I don't remember, I think 2011, we truly believe that FDC won the presidency. And we had set up our own tally center and the way to transmit results, very sophisticated. It included satellite capability. And so we were able to tell that we had the upper hand in the presidential elections. As we were working out how to collate and correlate all the findings and what, we were attacked by the Inspector General of Police, Kale Kaihura, by air, by land, by every means possible. This is not in the far past. This is contemporary history. Under the charge of Kale Kaihura, our party headquarters was attacked. And they went away with all our computers and all our documents. At that point, we decided that we set up a people's government. It was a resolution of NEC under the Honorable Mugisha Muntu that we set up a government to pursue a lost victory and to maintain the political stance. And so we set up a people's government. In that people's government, I was the Prime Minister. And that people's government was set up in Katonga. So whoever tells you about...
Why not in Naja?
That was the decision. Because Naja...
Didn't NEC...
You see, we have to... You can't put all your... Under a military regime, you can't put all your eggs in one basket.
But didn't NEC ever think that it would cause a division within the party itself?
No, but because there's no division. There's none. Katonga reports to Naja na Nkumbi. It does. And it's only when you break down the mechanisms that set up these entities that you get where you are. Katonga has never claimed to be the party president, nor the secretary general, nor the treasurer. No.
Has it achieved its goal?
That is for Naja na Nkumbi to judge. As far as I see, it has, because it has maintained visibility of the party. The visibility of the party, the brand of the party, the vibe of the party.
Is in Katonga.
No, they've added to it. Because Katonga is nothing except as part of Forum for Democratic Change. You're not talking about strangers. You're talking about colleagues. Now, in an effort to build a broad political base, other entities were co-opted into that cabinet, the majority of which was FDC. And even that too was allowed by the party to do so. So I don't like squinted eyes and squinted memory. That is exactly why I chose to be part of the founder members of Forum for Democratic Change, so that we can build a new political culture that speaks to ourselves.
Honorable, passionately as you speak, and looking at where the party is now and where you fought so hard to get to the party, with members, and everyone was chanting, one people, one Uganda.
And it is still one
the
Uganda,
key,
one people. We
to
still
open.
have the key. And
you were not strong as you used to be.
Those regalias were chosen on purpose. The name Forum for Democratic Change was debated in Bonita 1 and Bonita 2 for a long time. By the time we defined who we want to be, a political vehicle that can bring about democratic change in the country, a political vehicle that can give Uganda a fresh start in the management of ourselves politically, because politics is economics. You get the politics wrong, the economics is wrong. And we thought that, well, with hindsight and with foresight, can we build a vehicle that will deliver democratic change to this country, that can define, that can grow a different brand of politics in the country? Because we could have gone to UPC, we could have gone to DP. But DP and UPC, the old parties, had been vilified for so long that we didn't have the time to do the cleaning up. And because what is ingrained in people's minds is that, UPC, they brought this havoc, they wreaked havoc to the country. DP was a Buganda thing. It was that entire narrative of the past, a distorted narrative of what it was. So we thought we should start on a new footing.
But as the party grows, it continues to weaken.
No.
We have seen new political parties come,
Yes.
the National Unity Platform that has more members in parliament than you have,
That's
the leader of opposition from the same political party.
Yes.
Have you weakened?
No, we haven't. We are still a viable, competitive political entity that we want to build and clean up and rebuild and reorganize. Because the purpose for which we were formed is still valid.
You strongly think that you still have it under control?
I still believe that there is a possibility for us to wash this vehicle. If it hasn't crashed, we could even panel beat it if it has. But we could even leave it and buy another vehicle. All those are political options available to us.
What do you mean there?
I mean that, exactly, because we created a political vehicle.
Are you saying you can start another political party?
A leadership. The standard of leadership is well defined. The kind of elections we expect in the country are the same elections we expect in the party. You can't give what you don't have.
Did you just say that you can start another political party?
I am telling you the truth that if this vehicle, I want to use the
synonym vehicle.
Yes. I want to use the example of a vehicle. You know, when Jesus was talking in parables, they never understood. So I want to simplify it for you and for the rest of the country.
Is it something you've talked about? Is it something within the party corners?
It is something of the options available on the table. That option is there.
Wow.
Yes. And I want you to understand, we're being honest to ourselves. We built a special purpose vehicle called Forum for Democratic Change. We set standards in those two past leaderships and this one. We can track ourselves. Where is the problem? The problem is in elections. Internal elections are being botched up. And if we don't do the real elections using internationally accepted standards, or even party accepted standards, we will leave that vehicle.
Would I be right if I said that, based on what you just said, it explains everything going on? Because
no, not at all.
In your mind, you've already moved on.
No. I am pleading, and I'm telling you that I'm going back to my party. Because I'm a founder member of the party. I am telling you this because we know where we came from, what we are trying to fix as a country, not as a person, as a country. What happened in the Muntu split going to Ant? It wasn't elections. It was other things apart from elections, because elections are key to providing leadership. So what happened? We had elections organized by the Honorable Ali Salaso and Dan Mugarura. Both parties contesting agreed on the rules. They did, meticulous to the last point. The contestants, because they were the biggest stakeholders in this. As a party, we also agreed. They were organized under the leadership of the Honorable Muntu as party president. He organized a tamper-proof election from grassroots to national, and he lost. He did not petition because there was nothing to petition. He only exercised his right, and he also left us with a warning that time will take.
One more thing. Yeah.
Time.
I remember it vividly.
Have you forgotten already? So can you go back and interrogate? Because it wasn't elections. Today, the issue is elections, internal elections. The issue today is disrespect for party organs, emasculating party organs. You see, in this country, the majority of the leaders we have are cowards. Huge cowards. They even fear writing a letter to express their displeasure. I have written letters to my party president.
The current president.
The current one, because he is my party president. I have written to him to draw his attention to things that I have seen.
What was his reaction?
Nothing.
Should he
He has
resign?
not responded. I have written 3 letters so far. 3. The first one I wrote under confidential cover. After a month, no, let me tell you what happened. I write a letter. I bring to his attention what was eating me as an individual leader. And he writes to me, he sends an email back to me after a week and says, can you resend the letter that you emailed me? I have lost it in my system. The first 3 days I said I will not, to myself. Then I changed my mind. I said, I send it to you. Now, I did take that letter to the registry to be received because I wasn't getting a response. No, he said, the things you have raised are multisectoral in nature. Let me investigate. I'll get back to you. I said, fine. So I go and register the letter, and I use a NEC meeting to physically hand it to him. And I said, I want it recorded in the minutes that I have given you the letter I sent you by email. Here. He said, no, take it to the registry. I said, I've already done that. Document it. You have received it. He then told me that I have responded to it in the same way you sent it to me. Up till today. There's nothing in the spam. There's nothing in the pending. There's nothing. Then I saw they were asking us, after the 4 weeks, that they were flagging off the internal elections. I again wrote to him. I said, sir, that was not the resolution of NEC. In the very words I'm telling you, that wasn't the resolution of REC. I'm reminding you. So I sent him that. I sent him by email too. And I also sent to the Chief Administrative Officer, because this one I gave even copies to members of NEC. And I decided that I will not be the one to send the letter to NEC. Let me go through the system so that the system can then give copies to NEC. So I sent it to the CAO, the Chief Administrative Officer. I said, I've already sent this to Secretary General, to Chairman, and to the President, who is addressed to. And the copy to the members of NEC, I'm giving it to you to distribute. Receive and distribute. Nothing.
He didn't.
She didn't. And at some time when I had, because I was communicating that I was out of the country for 1 month, I then decided to send it myself. When I could hear the fracas, I said, maybe I should send it myself. The cow for sure had refused. And so then I wrote a third letter. I said, guys, you told me you had made a response. This is 2 months now. You haven't. I waited for the 16th because the meeting where he said he had received it, he had responded to me, was on 16th. So I waited for the 16th and I wrote back. I said, sir, I've waited for a month. Maybe this letter has worked too slowly. It hasn't yet gotten, your response hasn't gotten back to me. Now, today is a month. I have not received it. And you haven't also replied to my letter about the NEC resolution. And so, as an investigator, I look back and say, what is the game? Which game is this? It is a game of deception. It's a game of stalking. It's a game of scuttling. And it all is packed at the president's.
The Honorable Semuju called out the party president and general secretary to resign if the party is to refunction in the way it does. Do you share the same school of thought?
Not yet. I don't.
But if you're planning on starting up something...
I would want... No, I'm not. By the way, I'm not even planning. If I was planning, I would tell you.
You just said you're planning.
I am saying it is on the menu, political menu of options that can be exercised.
So if it got to the menu, that
Yes.
means it has been a thought.
No,
And it must have,
you don't
been...
have to think in a political buffet. But before I even go to a political party, I know what my rights are. I know what my obligations are. I even know if I stepped out, what are my options? I could join the party, the ruling party, as an option. It's an option.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
And you have rights too.
Yes. I could change my party. It's a political option. I could form another party. It's a political option.
But that
So
means
I
there
want
is a
you
problem.
to understand that these are options on the menu. Don't even be surprised. That's why parties work so hard to maintain their best fellows on them. Because a political party is not a prison. For now, I'm in Forum for Democratic Change, head to toe. And I'm doing everything it takes.
Talking about that, what can be done to regain the popularity of the party?
Listen, it's not about popularity of the party. It is, what do we stand for? We here are fighting for democracy within the party and outside the party. Isn't that a legitimate thing?
It is.
And we are. It's a legitimate fight that the party members are involved in. That what you want for yourself, you also want for the country. Please don't find us wanting in democratic change. Don't find us wanting. Because the spot where we are, the spot where you find so much going on, is about ensuring the integrity of processes within the party. The integrity of processes within the party. This thing is still intra-party. It is our business.
Watching everything going on. And it's not new that these things have happened. Like you clearly said, they started, we could even trace back way in 2008 with the leaving of Betty Kamya to form another party. We could...
Let me tell you, there's a story about everybody. The good thing, the things that are happening in this country are not stories. They are in indelible ink in the waves. So you don't have to imagine nothing.
My question was,
Yes.
would you trust the party? Would you even trust them to lead this country?
Yes.
Would you?
I would. Why? Because you see, the political environment in which all this is operating has impacted and brought this into every organization. Tell me, why isn't Umeme working? Is it because they have a political party there? Why did the Isimba Dam have an accident? It almost went bust. Is it because of you, EDCL, being a political party? Why is the church, the religious institutions? Why is there tension and unrest? Is it because they're political parties? It is a matter of leadership, and it's a matter of character, and it's a matter of people. You could blame anybody else, but not people who went to school like me and you. And in this country, you can't be a bystander. Even ordinary people, when they see a cockfight, they will choose whether it's the white cock or the red cock they're supporting. Because our society, humanity is like that.
But there are internal issues going on.
Yes, and they're being fixed. And if they don't get fixed, people will exercise their right to do other things. You see, there are options. You are not in a prison. You are not in a cage. You're not. So, we are not looking for a perfect political situation because it's not there. It is not there in the USA, it is not there in the UK, it's not there in the European Union, it's not there in Russia, it's not there in China. We are looking for a workable, transparent, credible. Those words are English, they mean everything. If you want to steal elections, steal them legitimately in a proper system.
What does that mean?
Have an election that everybody has accepted on the rules and the terms and the dates. In the past, we used to have gazetted days. When we wanted to have an election countrywide, we would gazette a day. Saturday, 7th June, there will be elections at the first branch level and the second branch level. And so we will have elections take place between 10 and midday for the village branch. If you arrive past midday, you know, okay?
It's gone.
It's gone. It was gazetted. Between 3 and 5, the villagers will congregate and elect the parish. Between 3 and 4 on 7th June, the same day. Everybody knows. Today you come to my party, they'll tell you, when did you elect? Was it 17th in the first, 17th June, July in the first roadmap, or was it 19th, or when was it? Is that credible? Does it pass the test of credibility? Then we gazette another day. The next week, the parishes will congregate at the sub-county between 10 and midday to elect. At that time, you're having electoral colleges. All the colleges are being constituted, okay, as you build upwards. And then the next day, you will have a constituency leadership. All the sub-counties in that constituency will meet at 10, between 10 and midday, and find the leadership. And then you will move to the district. That is what they call a credible, transparent election within the FDC. And until that happens, there is no election.
Honorable, lastly, where do we go from here?
First of all, I want you to rely on our understanding of how the party should be run. We should be able to gather ourselves and introspect. Because we ask this of government, we should be able to do it. And if we don't do it, I want you to judge us as not ready yet.
Honorable, thank you so much for speaking to us. We've been speaking to the Honorable Salaam Musumba to weigh in from an insider's perspective on the latest events as they unfolded within the Forum for Democratic Change Party. My name is Rahim Nwali, and this is the Hard Questions Show.